All right, thank you. Good evening.
Small world.
Welcome to the Board of Health meeting. It is Monday, January 9th, and it's 5:30 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And at this time, I'd like to review the agenda. Anybody need to add or remove any items?
Ray,
Yep.
if I could, I would like to just add a couple of things.
Sure.
We have the topic for ethics training certificates. We have a town meeting warrant notification. Ashworth Hill, we received a revised plan.
Okay.
And we have inspector position
Okay.
advertised.
All right. Just for discussion, I'd like to just add something. Just school department and nursing. I had multiple calls on that last week.
Okay.
So, okay. Stephen, do you add? Okay. All right. At this time, approval of minutes for 4/25/16 and 5/16/16. Have you had a chance to go over those?
I did do.
Yes, I did.
Kind of pulling from the archives there, but
Yes.
I pretty much didn't see anything that was
Nope.
out
And
of
it was just
context.
me and you at these meetings.
Yes.
So
One at a time, or can I do one?
we have to do one at a time.
Okay, so I'll move to approve the Board of Health minutes dated April 25th, 2016 as presented.
I second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
And I shall make a motion to approve and accept the meeting Board of Health minutes. Date of meeting was May 16, 2016 as presented.
I second the motion.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. We can go right into agenda, and we can hold off on the hearing and the discussion on the first two agenda items because we're not at time yet. So, first thing is correspondence. We got a few things, a letter, and a couple questions for us on those, which I believe one of those is the hearing. So, any other thing you want to speak to us about correspondence besides the two at the back of the pack?
Sure, let me just see. So we have the two requests in there.
Yep.
And then we have, I just wanted to let you know the, from the last board meeting, the animal citation, the hearing. So that has been paid for Idlewood. And then I also included in the packet, this was the, I had mentioned that the town was considering an opioid grant for the schools. And the municipal leaders and school leaders met together, and the schools put together a great grant application, and we provided some support letters. And so, very strong application. So I just wanted to let you know what, on behalf of the board, obviously, we provided support for that. So we'll wait to hear. Hopefully, we'll get our fingers crossed. I think they might make the grant notification sometime in the early spring. So we have that, and then if I can possibly, should be fairly quick. So in this is the time of year, the beginning of the year, that the town clerk sends out the notification about the acknowledgement for the open meeting law materials and the training certificate. So as you may recall, the training is every 2 years.
Yep.
And so we have to have a training certificate dated 2017. So if the board can forward those to me, and I'll make sure they get to the town clerk. So it's going to be two things. It'll be the acknowledgement and the training certificate, and then we will be in compliance. So that goes for all the board members and obviously all the staff members as well. So we'll work on getting that done hopefully by the end of January. The notification about the town meeting warrant. So we received a notification from town manager Ms. Jacobson that the warrant, the school is looking to set up a special town meeting. I believe it's going to be sometime in March. So the warrant is going to be announced as open if they vote on that at the selectmen's meeting. So as soon as that happens, I will forward that out for you. And we have, just as internally for staffing, I think this is one of the things that we've been working towards, and I know that the board has been supportive of it, and we are pretty happy about, some recent developments, but the Board of Health will be getting a part-time inspector. The position has been advertised recently, starting last week, and I want to thank you for your support. The Town Administration and Finance Committee also thought it was worthy enough to provide funding, so we are hoping to get some good applicants and applications and be able to kind of get that in the works. We're hoping for early February, so I know it's a little bit aggressive, but we obviously need the help, so. And we do have a plan for Ashworth Hill. Now, this, you may recall that we had received a plan back in, I think it was September, October timeline. So this is Eastland Partners is the applicant, and they have been through a number of meetings through the planning board. This is, I'm sorry, the plan is so big, but they didn't have a smaller version.
This was
So
off the
before-
back of 20 by Auburn and Oxford, this one that crosses the line?
This is going to be in that area off of Blaker
Yep.
Street,
Yep.
behind, so if you are on Washington Street down towards Burger King,
Yep, it's behind.
and you were to take the
Yep.
road off of there, it's that
Yep.
maze of streets back there, some dirt roads and so forth, so Blaker, I think it's Blaker and
Yeah,
Allen
it's
Street.
back there, yep.
Yeah, so let me just, before I open that plan up, let me just tell you, we did provide a memo to the planning board from the Board of Health regarding subdivision on Blaker Street, listed as Ashworth Hill. So at that time, these were the plans that we looked at back at that time, and the plan reflected a subdivision showing 2 lots, and they were to be served by public water and public sewer. We discussed it. The board had no objection to the proposed utilities as shown, as long as the respective water and sewer districts can provide connection and capacity for the proposed subdivision, which again was 2 lots. At this time, the Board of Health has not received any written confirmation from the applicant or the water and sewer districts as it relates to those proposed utilities as they were shown. That subdivision, although showing 2 lots, has now been revised, so a proposed subdivision, and this one shows 4 lots. So let me just open this up for you. There are several sheets. I'm going to go to the one here that has, it's an erosion control plan, but it shows clearly. So here's Blaker Street, and here's street coming up. It has lot 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so
3 is in Oxford, right?
4 lot subdivision. Nope, this
Oh,
is
that's in
actually
Auburn?
in
Okay.
Auburn, yeah. This is town line.
Okay.
And it is abutting to the town of Oxford. This proposed subdivision is showing, I don't know, there's a lot going on in the plan, but can you see the public water
Yep.
and public sewer line? So they're showing the proposed utilities to come down to service these 4 lots. So I wanted to show you the plan that we got in. There are several detail sheets showing the details for sewer, manholes, and so forth. But I wanted to also let you know This is a very large area of land, and it abuts the town line for Oxford. There has been some discussion for a large housing development up there in this area. So the plan that you have before you is 4 lots, just to be clear. This plan shows 4 lots, however, there has been discussion, and I just want you to be aware that there has been discussion by this applicant for a proposed larger housing development. So what I wanted to just get the board's pulse and just kind of tell you, because the plan has been revised, I would like to provide an updated memo to the planning board for their next meeting. This proposed plan and applicant is scheduled to go to the planning board for the 24th of this month. So I can update our memo to reflect that the 4 lots, again, are proposed to be served by public water and public sewer. But until we get something in writing from the sewer district and Auburn Water District, we really don't have any other information other than it's what's being proposed.
So 4 single house lots.
That's
Okay, that's okay.
that's what's
Yeah, because I remember last time we were talking about apartments and everything like that, so yeah, okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
And so, again, they're only showing 4, but I would be remiss if I didn't tell you there's discussion for possibilities
And
of...
if they change it, we should get information on changeover, correct? If they decide not to do 2 house lots and put one, like, 40 apartment building in there, we should get the information
That's a
still.
great question.
Okay.
So the planning board, I think, is trying to determine
Okay.
what type of notification that they would
Okay.
get.
Yeah,
Should it
because
be-
I'm working on one right now, we have 24 single house lots, but they're thinking to do the same thing, and we require them to put in a new plan if they're gonna change what, so we've approved, so we can approve the 4 single unit lots, but if they come out with another thing, we should have to do approval on that also.
And if I can, I mean, respectfully, I can put those comments in the memo to send, you know,
Yeah,
so-
because if there's thought about putting 2 large apartment buildings with 30, or even 24 units each, that's 48 units. That's gonna be a whole different thing. Now you're looking at impact on the schools, you're looking at impact on the sewer and water, and, you know, this year we had a drought, and the water wells went down. Now we're gonna add all this other stuff, and that stuff we have to look in advance for, is what's going on with that stuff too.
Right. and
So
it's-
I just want to make sure that if they are going to change anything, like this plan came to us again, if they change it again, we should see another plan. So,
Absolutely, I'll
okay.
reflect that in
Thank
the
you.
comments, okay?
Good.
Because, again, that area typically has been private well and septic.
We had problems a number of years ago before they had the public water.
Was it like
that way.
15 years,
Oh,
15,
okay.
20 years ago, there was problem with the private wells over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure if it was the Mass 10 issue.
I don't know if it was mass 10
Yeah.
contaminated or just
Or-
contamination from the road.
Just generic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So that area typically has been private well, private septic.
right.
Yeah.
So to have this as shown as public water, public sewer,
We gotta make sure, we
There's
gotta...
some infrastructure
we
that
gotta
has
make-
to happen.
yeah.
So long as it has the capacity to
right,
accept that,
exactly.
right.
And so that's, you know, kind of the internal meetings that we've had for our, you know, district coordinating group and so forth. So these issues have been brought up, but again, we haven't seen anything that's definitive that shows that this capacity can be achieved.
Okay.
So, all right, so I will reflect those
Yeah,
comments.
so I have no problem approving the plan as laid out, because we have to approve any subdivision, but if it doesn't have septic, and it just has water, town sewer, it's kind of a rubber stamp. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. we're not the school department, we can't look at impact of the schools,
No,
we
no.
can't do stuff like that, but it will impact the amount of water. That's why if I get nervous when people say there could be an apartment complex. Well, now we're looking at more water draw, everything like that, and we already went through a substantial drought this year, so I wouldn't like to see that again.
Okay.
So yeah, I think everything else would be fine, just the letter, just tweak it with the new information, I think that'd be fine. With the two things saying that if the plans do seem to change again, the board would like to see new plans. That works for me. Work for you, Steve?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so we'll have, I'll update this to reflect, you know, the requirement for the plan to come back to the board.
Okay. Yep.
Sound okay?
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, so at this point, we're just gonna step back up to the hearings. And if I can get the correct time, 5:46? 5:46, okay. And we're gonna open the first hearing, license extension request. We have two of them for J&S Excavating and Tacos Mexico.
Sure.
So if you want to just go, I didn't think anybody was gonna be here for those. I saw the letters. So more or less, it's just as it reads out, correct?
Yeah, so the first one, do I have J&S first?
Yes.
Okay, so J&S is the contracting company owned by Brad Johnson. Brad Johnson is a licensed installer here in town, and was or is in the process of an installation in town for septic. He did start the installation back in November, I believe it was. Due to the weather, the installation is mostly complete.
Okay.
We have not issued final sign-offs because there are some things that are still outstanding. But due to the weather, and obviously, he is in a position where he received his installer's license towards the end of the year, November.
So,
And so, in order to finish that system in the spring, to make sure that we can get proper sign-off, I did inform him that he can ask for an extension. Obviously, the board has to decide whether or not that can be approved.
Yep.
But he literally is doing an installation.
okay. Quick question. He didn't pull a permit because he didn't have any other jobs in town? Is that why he waited till November to get his installers?
Correct, yeah,
Okay.
he didn't,
Yeah, 'cause if you're not
this is
doing
his
work
first
in
system.
town, yeah, okay.
Yeah, in town, this year.
Okay, that makes sense. We don't require anybody to pull a permit in town. Like, we don't make people pull yearly permits because sometimes you never get a job. So why pay money for a town? So I can understand that. Instead of having it, this is my opinion, going through all of 2017, I'd be okay to allow him to complete the job he's working on and get that one done, but not start a new one. Because if he waited so long in the year to get his permit, it's because he didn't have a job in town. So I think if you're paying per year that you're doing work in town. So I'd say this job is considered a 2016 job because he started in 2016 and going to complete in 2017. And if he wants to wait until he gets another job in town to pull a permit for 2017, I'm okay with that, but I don't want to just automatically extend it for 2000, because that's going to happen again. Somebody's going to pull theirs in October, job's going to run late, they're going to want to do an extension for the next year, and then they're going to pull 2 or 3 jobs. So I think, to me, allowing him to complete this job, but if he gets another job, he has to pull a 2017.
Would you put an end date on it, or would you just say?
He could finish
sign
this,
off the job?
to sign up on this job. I mean, that's the way I would look at it. Because with the weather now, he can't work on it. We could just say, nope, pull a 2017 permit, you're doing stuff in the town, but it's not his fault the weather changed. Last year, everybody was able to work right till December 31st, so I think I wouldn't extend it for the entire year, I would extend it till the end of the job. Because that's the way I look at it. If he decides to start a new job in the spring, and he turns in paperwork for another job, then he'd have to pull an installer's license.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I mean, how do you feel about that? You know.
I'd feel better with a specific date.
Well, the thing is with Title V,
Yeah.
you don't know if something happens with the weather, he can't get it done. So that's the thing, is that job that he's working on right now could
Yeah.
last till June.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
But if he decides to start another one in May, and then that's a lot, you know what I mean? And that one runs to July, you might look for an extension for that,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
that's why I'm saying it, hold it to the job specific.
To complete this specific
Complete this
job.
specific job, he begins another one, he'll need an installer's permit, that's my opinion. Because I know Title V, I've had jobs go
Mhm.
16 months,
Yeah.
you know, when we have big jobs, so
Yeah.
I don't know, I mean, how do you feel on that? I mean, I understand you'd like to see a time, I know you like your dates, you like your time frames.
Yeah. But I get,
It's tough to do a time frame.
if we can say specifically to extend the permit for this specific job,
For this,
and then if
Until sign off.
in April he wants to start another job, he's gonna have to pull a
Yeah.
2017 permit.
even if he's still working on this one,
Even
if
if he's
he's,
still
if he's
working.
open a second one, that's
Okay.
the way I feel about it, because this job was a 2016
Yeah.
job, and because of weather, he couldn't complete it in 2016. He
Okay.
probably could
This
have,
is the end of the
possible.
year,
It's the end of the
yeah.
year, you're starting late, somebody needs
Yeah.
work done, but
Yeah.
now it drags
Yeah.
over into the next
Yeah.
year. I said, yeah, why charge them twice for the same
Yeah.
job?
Yeah.
But a lot of these installers won't pull permits in the town every year because it could be 300 in this town, 200 in this town. Now you're putting out $4,000 that you hope you're gonna get a job in that town to pay it back. So this, what I'm saying is extend it, and if he doesn't get another job in town for the year, he doesn't have to pick up a permit. But then in 2018, if he does a job, he'll have to pull a permit. I mean, that's the way I look at it.
We've done things like this before.
Yeah.
And especially where it was November?
Yeah.
Late November,
Right.
Yeah.
If-
early November?
Yeah, so the application, I'm sorry, I didn't put it in your packet, I put the request,
Mhm.
but the application for Mr. Johnson came in late November, so it was November 21st that
Yeah.
we received the application. And so we have in the past, for applications that have come in definitely in December, and sometimes towards the end of November, we have extended those to the following year.
Well, I know we've done that with food, but have we done it with installers? Because that's a whole different situation. I don't ever remember doing it for an installer.
I can't say for
I know for
certain.
food we've done it a lot
Yeah.
because they're in operation every day. So that's something we just say, hey, look, you came in end of October, beginning of November. I'm not going to charge you a full year price for 2 months and then start it again. Now, if you come in June, I'm going to charge you that full price. I know we've done it for that, but installers, I don't ever remember seeing one for an installer.
Where is this job?
This is on Santam Street.
Sanford?
And so he has done as much as he can do
Yep.
for the system, and come a little bit warmer weather, we'll be able to complete it. But the house and the septic system are literally new construction, so we have to have all the connections made.
Yeah.
So, again, I can't speak for an installer, Ray, but I know we have done it
Yeah.
for other permits.
It's just this is a whole different thing because a restaurant has to pull a license every year. An installer doesn't have to pull a license every year unless they get a job in town. So a restaurant, if they're brand new and they pull the thing and they want for an extension, we give it to them because they're going to stay in business. Well, an inspector, when they put in an installer, doesn't have to pull. He may pull one this year and then not pull one for 3 years because he doesn't have a job in town. So that's why I'm saying we'll extend the job and not the license. That's how I feel about it. Extend his 2016 till the end of this job, because as an installer, I could just say, oh, I think I'm going to do some work. I'm doing one job in October. I'm going to pull a license now, get my extension. So now I only have to pay one license for 15 months. So, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying he's trying to do that at all, but we set a precedent when we do that because some of these installers can say, let's line up all our jobs. Now I only have to pay one instead of knowing my job's not going to start till September or October, pull my license then, and know I have a full year and a quarter to get it all done. So, if it was, without the vote, I look at extended for the job. And how do you feel about that? I mean, you want a time limit, and I understand that. So if you, it's just, I know with new construction, there's always there's things that push it off. So I don't want to say, yeah, you can have it till April 15th, and he goes to April 20th, and we charge him for a full year after that.
Both evidence and discussion?
Oh, well, yeah, when there's not somebody here, we don't usually go through all that, so we kind of there's no one here to give their side, so we just do it all at once.
So a motion to close evidentiary discussion and questions.
Second the motion, how do you vote?
I'll vote aye.
Aye.
And then I'll make a motion to extend the requested 2016 license for J&S Excavating, specific and limited to the job on Santam Street until completion.
I second the motion. Roll call vote. Steve, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ray votes aye. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So I'll take a motion to close that hearing.
Motion to close that hearing on J&S Excavation.
Second the motion. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that is closed. Now the second hearing is Tacos Mexico.
Yes.
We are opening the hearing at 5:56, and this is more or less the same thing. We read this one. They opened in November 22nd, 2016 is when they obtained their permit, correct?
Correct.
And so our permits go January to December 31st, correct?
Correct.
All right, so yeah, it's 5.5 weeks. So,
No issues with the establishment?
It took a lot longer to get them up and running. I think they thought that they would be up and running in May or June.
yeah,
And there were just a lot of different equipment
okay.
and things that they needed to do. I don't know that they particularly opened on the 22nd.
But they didn't
that's when
open
it
before
issued.
Thanksgiving. Well, they didn't open before then.
I think it might have been like a few days after, so
Okay.
more closer towards after Thanksgiving, they opened.
All right, you have any discussion on this one? You want to close it?
Motion to close the evidentiary discussion on the,
All right,
Hearing?
second the motion, how do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to approve the requested extension of the 2016 food permit to the end of December 2017 for Tacos Mexico.
I second the motion. It is a roll call vote. Steve, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ray votes aye, 2-0 to pass.
Motion to close the hearing on Tacos Mexico.
Second the motion?
Aye.
Aye. All right, keep it moving. Okay, we went through the correspondence. Septic and well update. If you were done with the, we were done with Ashworth Hill, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
I think we finished Ashworth Hill.
All right, excellent.
And, let me just
So,
see.
yeah, we should be in septic, well, housing, all that updates.
Yep, we have been, we've been busy with housing inspections. We'll have some orders to issue. Septics, we do have quite a few septic closeouts that we're working on, septic and well. Animal control update, I wanted to just let you know that Animal Control Officer Amy Contois is working on a spring rabies clinic date already. So we don't have a date confirmed, but she is already in the works of a spring clinic. I think we had the clinic last year. I think it was either early April. It was sometime either April or May. So we should have more information for you at the next meeting.
Okay.
Worcester Regional Tobacco Control. So Tobacco 21, obviously I share the 21 updates that come through on a regular basis. Just wanted to keep you in the loop about it. And let me know if you want me to schedule Dr. Hartman to come. He's more than willing to come out to the boards to answer any questions that you may have about Tobacco 21 movement. I'll skip solid waste and go Central Mass Mosquito Control. No update. They're doing their off-season work. They do continue throughout the year, but it's typically clearing culverts and cutting down vegetation at this point. And then flu season, we have completed all of our flu clinics. We were able to do the last clinic I think we had for employees that we had here at the town hall. So there was a need after we had finished our public clinics. There were, excuse me, some handful of employees. So we had a first responder clinic here. Our vaccine has been exhausted, and we're actually already been contacted by Sanofi Pasteur for pre-booking for
Next year.
the next year.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we actually have a appointment in the next month or so to look at those numbers.
Okay.
And then while I have here, do you want the Maven report?
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, and just to let you know, I know we still have the mandatory recycling regulation,
Yes,
but
yep.
I was waiting because I know that
Sure.
was a baby of Carolyn's, so I
Sure,
didn't
yeah,
want
absolutely,
Mhm.
yeah, I figured.
Yeah, I kind of pushed it off. I should have said I wanted to move it till she got here, but yeah, well,
So the way that it worked out for, because we met last on November 30th.
Yep.
So we have November's report and December's report.
Mhm.
That's the way that it came in from
Yep.
Cheryl.
How many total doses of influenza vaccine did we dispense?
Do you have the total numbers? I know you input them into the sheet.
Okay. Was there a demand for additional doses, or?
There, I think we had some, yeah, we were able to work with
that was interesting.
Cheryl Rowinski, our public health nurse,
Mhm.
to be able to get some doses from her.
Mhm.
So actually we did, we did actually use more doses.
Okay.
And Cheryl is, I mean, very easy to work with
Yep.
because she covers so many towns.
Mhm.
So she was generous to let us borrow some of her vaccine. So we may want to consider that when we do our ordering, this year.
Yeah.
We have made a lot of progress. Both Eileen and Paula worked very hard as soon as the clinics were done to get all of the forms and paperwork
Mhm.
turned around so that we could get that sent in for reimbursement.
Mhm.
So we're expecting a higher reimbursement this year. It was one of our goals in past years, and when we had staffing that,
Mhm.
when we were missing staffing under the Board of Health, that hampered us. But now we have a really good handle on it. Eileen and Paula both go to the updated meetings on billing
Yeah,
and so forth. And so we've made a lot of progress over the past couple of years, I
Mhm.
think, in order to get the paperwork turnaround.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have a good handle on it.
And hopefully next year with the part-time inspector, that will give
Right,
the ability to probably even increase that.
absolutely.
Very
So, I can get you the number for
Okay.
the next meeting.
Now, I was more, curious as what the total number and what if there was additional demand when we get down to the, final discussion of
Sure.
ordering next fall's doses.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
thank you.
we're getting out of it. We get 200 doses from the state, and we used 47 last year and 52 this year. So
Hmm.
we're probably not going to do it in the town
Yeah.
I work in anymore.
But the ones from the state, they have restrictions on them, obviously,
Yeah.
for the schools.
Yep, and that's what we did the last 2
Yeah.
years with students, and most of the students are getting theirs from their doctor before their school physical, and all the athletes in town have to have their school physical, so they're getting their flu shot in August and September. So
Right.
by the time we give it in October, they're already done.
Right.
Now, each of these case ID are new cases, correct?
Not necessarily new
Yeah.
cases.
Wrong
That
going.
is how
Okay.
it's my understanding, that's how the case is identified through the number.
But there are, you're right though, there are, all three of those are different, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lyme disease is an endemic problem.
Yeah,
here,
so I'm always gonna get, yeah.
Specific questions I can have Cheryl.
Yeah, no
Provide.
influenza yet though, but that was just the
Yeah.
end of December.
Mhm.
Would you
Yeah.
like Cheryl to come to a meeting to explain anything, or specific questions I can relay?
Not that I could think of right
No?
now.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right. She has offered in the past,
sure,
so,
sure.
if that is something that's needed, we
Right.
can certainly do that.
She makes me go to
And
her.
the
she
vector
can come to
management
mine.
could be something that we could look at in the
Yeah.
future,
Yeah,
mosquitoes, ticks,
Yeah.
things like that, to help the public
And I know that,
manage their own properties, but,
I know that we had actually, Carolyn did some education for a couple of the community events at some of, I don't know which fair it was, maybe one of the fall fairs. She was also at the concert on the Common. So she did some community outreach, and if that's something that we notice we want to do a specific topic, we can
Yeah,
certainly
yeah.
put some resources
Sure,
at
and especially
some of
come
those
next spring,
community
summer,
events.
when some of the outdoor events are going on.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little something,
Absolutely.
you know, just to have somebody there
Yep.
to talk to it.
Thank you.
Okay, renewal updates is next.
Can I jump in
Sure.
with just one more thing here?
Sure.
So we have, also, I just wanted to let you know, we had received from Department of Housing and Community Development. Looks like they send out something kind of maybe on an annual basis or from time to time. These were numbers on the subsidized housing inventory. So they do it for the town specific, for the process of updating the Chapter 40B subsidized housing inventory, and then they have a way that they calculate the percentage. So I just wanted to share that with you. That is something that had also come in last month. That it kind of lists out like the housing developments, a housing authority.
Subsidized. Yeah.
It's just more so for informational purposes.
We don't change the number, the state's the one that's due. so
Absolutely,
we can
right.
do it
Yep,
tonight.
no, I just wanted you to
Yep.
be aware.
All right,
Okay. And,
so
who's-
renewal, how we doing renewals?
We're doing good with renewals. We have one establishment that hasn't paid, and that's Boost Fitness, correct? We're working with them. They actually do have some retail food and possibly some shakes.
Okay.
And trying to get them on board to actually get permitted. Paula worked really hard getting all of the food establishments up to date with who has grease traps, internal, external, and we went into generators this year to try to get a comprehensive list of what our establishments actually have. So we spent a lot of time on each folder
Yep.
gathering all this stuff. So I think you were down to about 10, Paula, that still had information they needed to get you.
No, 4.
Oh, that for us, okay, great. We're doing square footage for retail so that we can price them correctly, and seats for food service so that we're making sure that we're matching on the fee list and that they have all their choke saver. So
Okay.
they are, we did have some that naturally paid after the first. Paula collected late fees on all of them, but we don't have any that, other than Boost, which we're in contact with.
They haven't had a permit before,
They have not,
Okay.
and last year I was working with them, and they, like, it towards the middle of the year, maybe June, and they weren't sure they needed one, and they went back and forth.
Okay.
And this year we told them they did need one,
Okay.
and they're still, they say they're, okay, they understand now, but they have not sent their money in.
Okay. So with renewals, anybody who already had a permit, we're at 100%, everybody's in?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Everyone's in, very, like I said, very little fee, I mean, maybe 8 late charges.
Yeah.
I don't even think those
That's
are,
December
Betty?
31st or
Yeah.
November?
I believe it's December 31st, everybody's due, right?
Yeah, everyone's due December 31st.
Yeah, so that's great. I just remember. when I
Paula
first
sent them
got-
out early, she
Yeah.
got
Yes.
it back, and she started working with the people.
I remember you guys passed when I first started, we were in September and somebody didn't have a permit, so that's when we started fining and everything like that, because they weren't doing the fining before, and we dropped the hammer on that. That's back when Andy was here, and they started fining again, and I think the numbers dropped from like I think we were at like 30% were late, and then it got down to 20 and 10, and from what it seems now, you had a few come after the first, and that's great.
We've really updated everything electronically as well.
Yep.
We've collected emails, backup emails. We've kind of put out to people, do you want it by email? So if something comes in and it's not complete, or the money's not right, we're still doing phone calls if we have to, but she's immediately scanning it and sending it back,
Good.
pointing out what's missing, what's not there. So the process that typically may have taken 4 weeks can be shortened to about 3 days by the
No,
time she turns
that's
it around.
great. I mean, this is just what I said before, last year I think it was, is we just need to show people. You have to pay your bills on time. It's just if you own a business in town, part of your bills is paying your permits. And it seems like they're doing that now, so I want to commend everybody for getting there. You know, a few people are late, you forget things, that's fine. But, you know, we're not a month late, 2 months late, we're a week late. We're not even 2 weeks into the year, really. So, I mean, we're in the 9th, and if you think if everybody's collected by the 9th,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's you guys doing a great job and really working with people, so I applaud
We're handing
that.
that over to Paula this year, because she
Good.
really worked hard that whole month of December on
Yeah.
it.
Even the week of Christmas and New Year's, I mean, she was literally on the phone. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
just,
Well, we have the same thing. We probably had 400 people come in our office to do their billing, you know, and everything like that, because, you know, we're like, well, you know, we had ours due on the 29th because the 31st was Sunday. And so anybody came in that last week got fined, but no, that's great. You guys did a good job on that. Okay, at this point, I want to go back to the discussion for mandatory recycling regulation. It's just a discussion, it's not a hearing, so we don't have to open it. I waited on that for you because I knew that's one of your babies, so. Okay, so, go ahead, tell us what's going on.
so I wanted to, I know we've kind of talked about this topic, and over the past several months, there's been some developments as far as working with the Solid Waste Advisory Committee and Recycling Coordinator. So, as you're aware, the solid waste rules and regulations are in the process of being updated. So solid waste has been working on that end, and there's a lot to it. You know, the rules and regulations were put in place back in I think it's 2010, and corresponded with the contract at that time. And so you know, naturally, some things have been outdated. So the contract went through this past year. We obviously did an updated contract and tried to revise some of the things that we felt weren't clear or weren't clearly identified. And so it's been kind of a forward progression to realize what things that in mostly through people calling the office or asking questions or situations coming up that happen, that we kind of say, oh, geez, okay, how was this handled in the past? Has somebody called on this before? And then how do we find out what works best for making some changes? And so we know that our solid waste and recycling rates, we know that those have been identified. So over the past several years, they're kind of data put together, and then that data is kind of looked at. So in order to bring more awareness for what people are doing for recycling, and trying to understand what people are putting in their trash, we look at the questions that we get into the office, and just basically driving around town as well, because you can tell a lot just by driving around on trash day. So I think that some of the areas that we need more awareness, and with more awareness, obviously, we want to educate, we want to get information out. We have, through the newsletters, we have the town manager puts out a quarterly newsletter, and so we try to have some sort of presence for solid waste in that newsletter. Additionally, the recycling coordinator, Amy Sullivan, who has very good knowledge about and experience because of her years of doing it, is made aware of opportunities that are out there. And so there are, from driving around, even this morning on my way in, there's education that needs to be done more so to help people understand, number one, what they can put in the recycling toter, how the trash should be presented, and even when you have extra trash. So the toter, overloading trash coming out of it. We don't, the trash toter size is made so that we're just staying in that toter size. And that's to encourage more recycling. So even driving around on trash day, you can just look down your street on when you pull out, your own toters to see who on the street are kind of complying and who's not really in compliance. The people that are not in compliance, we want to educate and make sure they understand what they're supposed to be doing. I spoke with a woman actually just last week. She didn't understand if she had extra trash. She needed to purchase a blue bag and put it in the blue bag and aside of the toter. So, what started out as kind of a, maybe a heightened conversation, was calmed down after I explained what the process is. Maybe you're not aware of it. Maybe you're new to town. Maybe you need some more understanding of how the trash program works. And so those are the kind of things that internally we talk about with the solid waste members as issues come up. So with the with some of the rules and regulations, some of the things that we have identified have to do with things that you can make sure people are not putting in their solid waste. Obviously, yard waste pickup. Not every town offers that. We do offer that for our residents twice a year. We have the spring waste and we have the fall waste. Making sure people understand that we have a compost program here in town. So you can purchase a compost bin at a reduced rate. If you want to start a food compost program, take your food waste out of the trash. You won't have as much trash. There's a big push on this end right now because of if you think about what you put in your trash and how much food waste is in there, it's heavy, it's wet, it weighs down the trash, it stinks. If you take that component out of the trash and put it through a compost program, that's something that's going to help reduce the amount of trash. Educating people on textile and recycling. I know we've had a lot of discussions about the donation boxes, and there's a lot of good that they can help with for people putting textiles in it, but we don't want the illegal dumping. So there's a lot of areas that you kind of have to figure out what the issue is, what the benefit is, and then the end result of how to get there. So I wanted to kind of just bring to your attention, for the rules and regulations, we have talked about, maybe identifying a little bit clearer in the regulation that, the materials that we don't want in the trash. So what should you be putting in your recycling toter? Single stream clean recycling. We did a tour recently at the Casella facility. So the Casella facility is a materials recovery facility on Hardscrabble Road. Republic, who is our municipal hauler, when they pick up the recycling is actually brought to Casella for sorting. There was a wonderful experience for solid waste to be able to take a tour of the facility and see some of the recycling coming in and what people are putting in that stuff that shouldn't be in there. People might have great intentions. I did a highlight in the newsletter about don't bag your recyclables. So you might have the best intentions and you're rinsing out, hopefully you're rinsing out all your bottles and cans so there's not food debris in there. And then you put all the cans in one bag and all the plastic bottles in another, and then you take everything all nice and neat and put it in your toter. Unfortunately, when that goes over to Casella, those bags get stuck into the machinery and the product ends up causing a delay, and sometimes they have to pull everything out and throw it in the regular trash. So you might have the best intentions, but you know, so those are the things that we're trying to find better ways of getting the word out to the public. In the newsletter that's going to be going out this week, you'll see kind of a highlight from Solid Waste on some of this information. And so DEP has grants out there for helping on the mandatory recycling aspect of it. The town has received an approval for a grant. In order for that grant to be utilized, you'd have to have the regulation in place. And so we're working with solid waste members to figure out how the best way to implement that is, that program. So I wanted to just highlight some of the things that you know, we've seen kind of just in the daily calls to the office about advisement for what's allowed in the rules and regulations, you know, when, who is allowed to be on collection. So we have over 5,000 people on municipal collection. Specifically excluded are mobile home parks, condominiums, multifamily complexes containing more than 4 units. Is there, you know, that's what we have had in place for years. Do we want to change any of that? You know, that recently there was a, I think it was a proposed condo complex that that had come up, and so there was a discussion about should condos be allowed to be on it. So up to this point, we haven't had condos. Condos typically, the complex will get their own recycling and full-size dumpsters, and so we have that. Seems to be working very well in many parts of town.
Imagine 20 condos and having 40 barrels outside. That would just make a mess of everything. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
But that's one of the things. It sounds, you know, it sounds like common sense, but that's an area that we didn't have identified in the rules. So that came up recently. We realized, okay, we probably need to expand upon that in the rules.
Yep.
Is there, you know, when people buy the bags, what's the price of the bags? You know, is there a bag limit on how many you want to put out?
I mean, if they're paying for the bags, it really comes down to pay as you
Right.
throw. So if they have a party and they got to put out 10 extra bags, they're paying for the bags, is the way I look at it. If your tote is full and you have to put, I mean, knocking on wood, I've had the service for I don't know how many years yet. I've never filled my trash bin. So just because of the recycling bin is always overflowing, and I got a cardboard box on the side filled with more recycling next to it. But yeah, I think if you're paying for it, you shouldn't. Oh, you can only put 2 bags out. You can only put 3 bags out. Now, if somebody's doing it all the time now, where they're bringing the trash in from another town, but they're paying for it, you know, that's. I mean, it's just you have to look at. They'll have to. I don't know if they note it when they pick up that there was 5 bags, 5 blue bags, or they just see the blue bags and pick them up. I don't know. I mean,
And so that's a great discussion point is pay as you throw. One of the things that we've seen over even the past year, and it's funny how things cross over, so you never realize how many things are connected. But even like the vacant properties, we've gone to a vacant property where people left, you know, there's 25 bags of trash there. Okay, so now, very difficult. Obviously, you know, say the owner should be in charge of it, but if it's 25 bags of food waste, and it's being ripped open, you know,
Animals and-
by animals and so forth,
Mhm.
you know, you have to make some
Mhm.
decisions on getting, you know, those bags picked up. And then we have some streets where you have the equipment is not able to go down some of the private roads that are, you know, dirt roads
Mhm.
that have, you know, kind of some challenges to them. So we have some streets that may require different toters. That was also something that was highlighted. The abatement process, going through, obviously, you know it well, people come to us for abatements, identifying when an abatement is allowed, is something that, you know, we want to make sure we have a clear understanding. The day pass process. So we have a day pass that people can get at Casella. Identifying who's allowed to get that day pass and how they go about doing that. Typically they come through our office, but do we want to open that up for people outside of town, or residents only, or businesses only, or, you know, having those.
Do they have a scale there?
They do. Yeah,
Because
they actually
just
pay.
what we do is, for the day pass, we do a charge for people in town, but if it's people out of town, we make them go with scale and let them pay whoever the rate, whatever they want, because we get a discount. See, if somebody from town, if they go through you and get a day pass,
They still have a tipping fee,
they still have a tipping fee there also?
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Oh,
And
so,
there's a minimum tipping fee,
yep,
and then it's per ton.
per ton, so a lot of
But there's
times
a
people aren't
minimum
hitting
fee,
the...
so you're
Okay,
getting your permit fee, and then
okay, well, see, I've never done it, so,
minimum
yeah.
tipping fee
Okay,
plus whatever weight. So if you go in with a sedan
yeah,
with a couple of trash bags,
yeah, you're paying
you're
the
paying
tipping fee.
your minimum tipping
The
fee,
minimum.
but if you go in with a dump trailer, you know, you're paying a ton each anyway.
Okay. No, I've never seen it done over there, never, so that's why I was just saying is, sometimes, you know, if it's out of town, I mean, if they're gonna dump there anyways, do we want a cut of the pie? For them to come through town? I
So-
mean, that's something we'd have to look, I
That's
mean,
a
I
great
think,
point.
I
So
think
that's-
solid waste should look into that, because they're the ones who deal with the costs and everything, we just kind of make sure everybody pays, is what it comes down to,
So that is, that day pass is meant as it's basically a privilege, so
Mhm.
that you don't have to, you can dispose of solid waste and recycling here in town,
Mhm.
but you have to get a pass in order to use the facility.
Yeah.
Because normally, anybody who is a licensed trash hauler in town, we
Mhm.
maintain the permit list.
Yep.
Um,
And they get the stickers on their
Right, that's a
vehicle.
$79 fee, whereas a day pass is gonna be considerably less.
25 or
Yeah.
15 or
Yeah, it's
$10.
10 and,
10.
I think it's
Yeah.
15 for businesses, isn't it?
15.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
so it's a
It
considerable,
wasn't for businesses.
Yeah, so if this,
All businesses.
so,
Per business.
Residential only.
Per business.
They have a commercial
Yeah,
one.
so-
that's just
well, that makes
commercial.
sense. So if you get stuff you can't get rid of, you can load it up and deliver it there instead of having, you know, mattresses and
Yeah.
having somebody come pick it up at your house. You can bring it there, so that's not a bad deal either.
so that obviously, you know, there's also bulk waste pickup.
Oh, other
So
than a trash.
That is,
Expensive.
yeah,
Like
bulk
other
waste
trash
pickup
No,
in trying to get the most updated information.
Mhm.
So we're in the process of trying to update, you know,
Yeah.
the hard to get rid of items, because that seems to be, especially this time of year, you know,
Yeah.
people are done with the holidays and now you're on to clearing out your basements and
Mhm.
garages, you know, come springtime. So there's a lot to it, and the rules and regulations, obviously gonna be around, solid waste and recycling, but there's a lot that people wanna know, and a lot more information that I think we can add to the document. So, I think that solid waste is probably, if you're open to it, you know, we might wanna do like a joint,
Yeah.
meeting, in the near future to kind of you know, discuss this
But
amongst.
I think we had said something, Steve and I were on the board back then with Marion, I think we had said something about when we were going through all the, you know, people coming for an abatement and everything
Yes.
like that, we had said, well, we'd like to talk to them, they make the rules, we want to make
Sure.
sure that, you know, and we didn't hear anything back from them, I think there was a changeover going on there, they were short on the committee, but yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a working meeting together with them, going over, you know, some of the regulations, see what their feeling is and see what ours, so now, if it comes up and somebody comes for an abatement next year, we have footing, we have a
Right.
stand, we can say, yes, we were in that meeting, and this is what we decided, and this is what we're gonna do, and that's it. You know, there are the special cases that we're always gonna have to look at, but, you know, if they say, nope, if somebody comes in April, they have to pay the full fee. Okay, if that's what we vote on that day, then it makes it easier for us when we're going forward. So how they wanna do it, so, sounds good.
So I just wanted to kind of let you know kind of where, you know, there's a lot of progress happening.
Mhm.
And I think it makes sense for, in the next, in the near future, I say, you know, we'll be able to, you know, have a collaboration of both solid waste members and Board of Health to try to figure out, you know, the best way for updating the rules and regulations, talk about the mandatory recycling and what that means, you know, as far as how a regulation would be handled, and how it's going to be implemented, because obviously you need to have the staff to do that. You need to be able to have the time to educate people, to show them what they need to be doing, to explain the process. And I think we do a lot in our office, but we have to be able to be out in the field as well. You know, so you can answer phones and send information by email, but you have to be able to go out and see what's happening out there too, in order to assist people in those areas. Any questions, comments?
Nope, not on that.
Okay.
Okay, just for discussion, oh, you're welcome. I added something to the agenda just for discussion. I got a few phone calls last week. It had to do with schools. It's not really it's not really under our purview, but I thought we should just discuss it just so people know what's going on. The middle school did a ice skating like trip during the day. A girl, I don't know if it was a girl or boy, they fell, got bloody. They called the school, a teacher from the school came over, picked up the student and drove the student back to school, and then they called the parent and the ambulance. They didn't call to there, no nurse went on the trip. So they wanted me to just bring it up because they kept saying it was health, it was health, it was health. So I said I'd bring it up in the meeting just so everybody be aware there was that issue. We don't really have too much to say about it. There's not much, we don't have a regulation saying that we have to have a nurse in every school, we have to have that, that's not under us. But because it was healthcare, the woman thought I should bring it up, so I wanted to bring it here. I know it was at the school committee meeting last week, and they are gonna look to, the school thought because it was in town, they didn't have to send a nurse. But then somebody falls, gets bloodied, stuff like that. So that was the big one that happened last week. It was at the school committee meeting, and I actually didn't go, but my wife went because I couldn't make it, so she could report back to me what happened. But that's kind of where that one was. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys. You guys both work in the nursing field and both have kids and all that stuff. So this is just what happened, and I was asked to bring it up today. So if they're watching, I brought it up. So that's all I had on that. Do we have a percentages for restaurants for 2016?
No, I don't have them done.
Okay.
We just finished all the schools
Okay.
and the nursing homes, so
All right.
I was gonna.
All right. So for the next meeting, can we get a rough percentage of what we did for the year? All right. Thank you. Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay. Meeting schedules. If we want to do a second one in January and then schedule the first one in February. Mondays at 6 seem to work for everybody.
Okay.
So, yeah, just because I'm coming out of Westboro, and a lot of times I don't get in town till like 20 minutes of 6. And so,
Sure, yeah, no, we
Yeah,
can
I think that was
definitely
a,
move it to 6, I
yeah.
apologize.
Well, I think what happened too was we had moved the meetings around so much, they were off on Mondays, that we got, there was a couple times we were able to do them at 5:30, because I left work
I
early and stuff,
apologize
but no,
about
that's
that.
fine.
We'll
So-
move it for 6.
Yep.
And then, are you thinking for the 23rd?
You tell me, if it's something we need, let's schedule the 23rd, because what next week is the, holiday, so we can't have it next week, so it'll be the 23rd, if there's enough for us to have a meeting.
Okay, sure.
If you need to table it, can you make that day, does that work for you? I know, because you were teaching Mondays.
Well, I teach in the morning, but there's a work meeting at 5 PM, but this is nothing I'm obligated to go to.
Okay.
It's a
Well-
training meeting, so if the board is going to hold a meeting, I can certainly miss this.
Well, the other thing too is if you get here 15, 20 minutes late,
Yeah.
that's not a big deal. If it-
True.
so I'm not overly worried about that. You can always,
No, exactly.
because at 6 o'clock, Cal and I can be here. You can
Yep, yep.
come in a little late.
Yep.
I want to make sure if it's something for work, you should be,
Yeah.
making sure work's going fine too.
Yeah.
So does that work for
23rd.
everybody? The 23rd work for you guys?
So
And
we'll
then-
do, we'll hold the 23rd if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to look at February 13th, just
Sure.
to book out.
Mm-hmm.
6 PM?
Yeah, if that works for you.
Okay.
Yeah, it works.
All right, so January 23rd and February 13th,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll go 6 PM. Does that
Sounds
sound
good.
okay?
Yeah, I'm doing classes on Monday night, but I'm doing them late, so I tried to get out of they're online classes, so
Oh, wow.
I have to
okay.
check in by 9, so I can do that, it's not a
Okay.
problem. All right, anybody else have anything to add, any questions, concerns, discussions? All right.
Registrations due?
Oh, yay!
Yeah, I didn't put mine.
That's blank.
That's okay,
Um,
you have the paper.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll take a motion, are you all set with dates? You good with dates? Okay. I'll take a motion to close the meeting.
Make a motion to close the meeting?
I'll second.
All right, everybody in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.